Hello, this is Jeanette Wisdom. I'm glad you were able to join me. How are you doing?
Okay, doing okay. You?
I'm doing well. And today I'm going to discuss Thomas Jefferson's vision for higher education during the 1760s to 1826. His vision for education, though, did not stop with his passing at 1826. Others kept his vision going. During Jefferson's terms as a member of the legislature and as governor, he was able to have his greatest impact and influence on education. And as president, he was almost the only educational influence was West Point. But he was born in Shadwell, Virginia, became a member of the legislature in 1769, and governor of the Commonwealth in 1779. Thomas Jefferson was one of the most significant, influential persons during this era. Jefferson's vision for higher education during 1760 and 1826 was to educate the masses, publicly fund education, and a college free of organized religion. He wanted to educate the masses, and in one of his letters he wrote, "And say, finally, whether peace is best preserved by giving energy to the government or information to the people. Last is the most certain and the most legitimate engine of government. Educate and inform the whole mass of the people. Enable them to see that it is their interest to preserve peace and order, and they will preserve them. And it requires no very high degree of education to convince them of this. They are the only sure reliance for the preservation of our liberty. After all, it is my principle that will of the majority should prevail." Jefferson's vision was far advanced that he knew educating the masses was key, not just the rich. Jefferson knew it was important to begin education at a young age. He did not want Americans to he did not want them sent to Europe for education. He wanted it done here in America. He increased education by increasing practical subjects such as professorships, law, and police, anatomy, medicine, chemistry, modern languages. He was instrumental in seeing the importance of governmental involvement from the bottom to the top rung of education. His main push is he knew that if he educated everyone, it would make a better society for everyone, not just the elite running the show and having things ran the way they wanted it ran.
Yeah.
Next, Thomas Jefferson proposed a bill that placed the burden of funding public education of the schools on the inhabitants of the counties by paying a proportion of the tax. Thus, the wealthy pays added funds for the education. Jefferson was a large proponent of publicly funded education, and he requested the Virginia legislature to fund state schools. Jefferson was instrumental in providing appropriations of federal land as endowments. Oh my gosh. It just went out again. I apologize about that.
Oh, that's okay.
But he was instrumental in providing appropriations of federal land as endowments for colleges in certain states. This was met with opposition. People were, why do I have to pay for other people's children's education?
Yeah.
We still have these complaints today, such as, I know you know the Robin Hood plan.
Sure.
And this is the famous Jefferson College that consumed Jefferson's time and energy. He started focusing more on the Virginia college and less and less on more of the public. And actually, he had a little bit of difficulties because people were saying that he was misusing government funds to funnel it into this college, to make it, to improve it. And do you have any questions or comments so far?
One thing that I was thinking is you mentioned, and I was writing this down kind of as you were going, you mentioned that he had a burden for higher education. And I guess I just, what do you think was his drive for higher education? I mean, what pushed him to care, I guess, so much about higher education?
Well, what pushed him, what his drive was, is that he knew that education was key to freedom from England and a great America. Yeah, he didn't want the elite controlling everything, or the religious zealots, controlling everything. He knew, he had the vision that if everyone from all sectors, all backgrounds, and whatever funding, whatever, the poor, the rich, if they all controlled it, then it would be good for everyone.
Okay. Yeah, and I can see that same kind of similar push in our society today, even education for everyone. So that makes sense.
Right. And then Jefferson was passionate about education being practical, useful, and not influenced by religion. Jefferson tried keeping the primary education out of religious control by beginning his own seminary school based on Jefferson's own school of natural religion. He was pretty close to being an atheist. Jefferson's fear was that zealots, preachers, would shape the young minds that would eventually be leaders of the country. And he was strongly against organized religion. He did believe in God, but he didn't believe in just forcing an individual's religion on someone.
Yeah.
Thomas Jefferson began offering faculty positions to individuals based on their intellectual capabilities instead of their religious backgrounds, which was met with disdain. Jefferson felt that religion-controlled education, the country would advance only in that direction of that particular religion's mission. And he saw the importance of educating the young to prepare and keeping their young minds free and from being molded by zealots. And so the College of William and Mary College called upon its alumni, that's where he attended college, to assist with the reshaping the college, but the attempt to make it a state college failed. At that time, they were trying to make more state colleges, and funded by the government, and but that didn't work out. But this was the beginning of him going back to William and Mary, was the beginning of the freedom of religion. That's kind of where the freedom of religion began. The University of Virginia was respected as the model college with its educational mission. It was felt that whoever controlled the colleges controlled the ideology of elite. He was trying to begin the separation of church and state. Presbyterians, this is one quote from Addison 2003, Presbyterians dread the advance of science as witches do to the approach of the day. I thought that was a pretty heavy statement.
Yeah. Especially because isn't he often regarded as somebody who had such religious convictions? I mean, I heard that so much, forefathers and founding fathers, all that, so maybe that's not all true.
Yeah, I think people can confuse the forefather with him being a father of religion.
Oh, okay.
Like I said, he did believe in God, but he did have a lot of doubts, and he certainly, like I said, did not want it controlled just by a specific religion.
Sure. Okay.
But Jefferson was adamant about preventing religion from controlling everyone, and he and as well as the elite. He didn't want it controlled by the elite, which was good, since he was one of the elite at that time.
Yeah.
He even knew that he didn't want to be the controller of everything. And Jefferson felt religious freedom was fundamental to civic freedom and a prerequisite for political virtue and moral growth. So that's where his religious, he felt it was important, but he wanted, the political virtue to be free of that stigma of being a Baptist or being a Presbyterian. Denominational schools included a wide variety of educational opportunities centered on professional and secular training rather than theology. Restoration of the freedom of the minds being taken back from the clergy and returned to the citizens, thus escalating the people to a level of moral respectability desired for their own safety and to a sound government. He was more about education for sound, not to be educated so you're just intelligent. He knew it would take educated people to have a sound government and a sound country, which was pretty visionary back then.
Yeah.
And here is where the this slide will come up here, is what gave us the freedom of religion is, well, if I can get the slide to come up here.
I see it on the thumbnail there. That's just a document.
Yeah, that's the
document.
Yeah, the Bill of Establishing Religious Freedom.
Oh, okay.
And you can see the arrow down there is where he actually gave us, that freedom of religion, where it all began was with this document.
Okay.
And in conclusion, here is another quote from Jefferson. Worth and genius would thus have been sought out from every condition of life and completely prepared by education for defeating the competition of wealth and birth for public trust. He didn't want someone who was just born into money, born in, to princehood or kingdom or whatever, running the country. He wanted people to run the country because they knew what they were doing and not because they were just born into it.
Yeah.
And he said we have public education for all, states funded education, and a choice of religious or non-religious education. So they could choose.
Mm-hmm.
Jefferson's leading impact was in higher education and religious freedom. Today, the effects of Jefferson's work, dedication, and dreams throughout his lifetime are apparent. Jefferson was a true visionary. It was demonstrated that Jefferson's vision for higher education during 1760 and 1826 was to educate the masses, public-funded education, and a college free of organized religion. Although his dream was not materialized until after his death, he set the wheels in motion, and now we have public school. So I appreciate your time. Do you have any questions or comments?
I actually have one more. Something else I was writing down as you were speaking earlier, because I heard the phrase several times, education for all, education for all, education for all, and I can definitely see where he had that push. However, I was thinking, I wonder if all means all. Does it mean, obviously this time, slavery was huge, I don't know the women's rights were as prominent as they are today. So when he says education for all, is that limited to certain white males? Is it really all?
Well, Jefferson, during the time, he could not visualize women in positions of leadership, and there was more of a push from him to include African Americans than there was for women, because he felt that as far as women, that the novels that they read infected their minds like poison, as well as they should concentrate on dancing, drawing, and music.
How interesting.
Yes, he felt he did want the women educated, but just enough that when the men, the boy children, came home and needed a little help, that they would have some knowledge to assist them. But that was it, not to be educated like the white male. Now, as far as the Africans and Americans in college, is he was a true visionary as far as he knew they needed to be educated. He did want them educated, and actually he even felt like before emancipation happened that they should be educated prior to emancipation to make the transition easier for them, which I felt was phenomenal, that he realized this, and that he actually even thought about, things going better for them. But the problem arose is during the times there was such turmoil and such fight that he actually entered that in one of his bills, but it was taken out because it just wasn't a time. It wasn't going to fly, and it was going to interfere with the other education that he wanted to have happen. So he did take that out.
Yeah. Oh, very interesting. Very good. Thank you.
Well, thank you for your time, and I will chat with y'all soon. Thank you.
Okay.